Hi friends, welcome to Intuition and Ink. Today's reading is a channeled energy reading. If you are new, welcome. If not, welcome back. As I connect with the energy, I'll be sharing any messages, feelings, impressions, and intuitive downloads that come through. Please take only what resonates and leave the rest. If this video found you, trust that there may be a reason you were guided here today. Let's begin. Hello friends. So I was guided to continue on with the reading from yesterday. If you haven't seen it, I posted it yesterday. I'll also link it in the description below if you want to watch that. But this is technically part 2 of that reading. I felt like there was more that I wanted to say, but I did run out of time. We were talking about the law. Oh, excuse me. We were talking about the law of divine timing and how everything happens when it's meant to. So sometimes we experience delays or detours, and that this law is to ask us to trust the space between wanting and receiving. I got this chapter reading from a book called The Blueprint by The Reckoning Company or Co. It's such a good book, especially if you're going through a transition time or going from, let's say, an old life to a new life, I guess you could say, or if you're leaving from an old toxic relationship to a new one, or if you're just trying to heal some shadow wounds or any kind of wounds that are triggering. This book is really good for that. Continuing on, this law of divine timing invites you to stop forcing what isn't ready and to stop doubting what hasn't arrived. Some things do need time to become what they're meant to be, and so do you. And that really guided me to talk about this reading or do this channeled reading, because something told me that something is like picking up this energy is that maybe you could be someone that's going through that right now, trying to ask yourself, what is this quiet or downtime? It could feel uncomfortable. You could be trying to find things to distract yourself. So this law is basically welcoming you to just sit down and journal and basically ask yourself, what is it that you want to do? What is it that is asking you to do right now? Maybe it's something like going back to school. You could be guided to look for another job. Maybe it's a job change that you're trying to do. Maybe you're wanting to be working in the airline industry. Maybe that's significant. But I thought that chapter was really interesting because it really is what I'm going through right now. I'm in this transitional period where I'm trying to figure out who I am again, and so maybe you could be someone that's also trying to do that. And it felt like for the longest time I was telling myself, like, why is this happening to me? It doesn't make sense for me to leave a comfortable home environment. At the time I thought was comfortable and safe, but it was actually a very I don't want to say mentally debilitating, but it felt like it was, and it actually ended up, now that I think about it, it was very debilitating because I was I'm getting really personal and vulnerable here, but it was very mentally draining, and it ultimately led me to deep depression. And so if you're going through that right now, that could be a sign that your current situation is no longer in alignment with you. So you could be someone that is now in a position where you're trying to figure out, what do you want out of life? You could be someone that is very intuitive. What else? I did want to also say that this law of divine timing has a descension and ascension process. When you're in the descension phase, this is where your patience is being tested, where there are moments or situations that are testing you, challenging you to see if you're ready to move forward with like better relationships, for example. If you're a person that is attracting people that are not exactly healthy, like maybe there's old wounds in your life that is attracting people who are very highly critical of themselves or a perfectionist mindset, what ends up happening is you'll end up attracting those type of people into your life, reflecting on who you could be at that current moment. And so it could feel triggering because, or this message could feel triggering because it's something that is a wound that you could be trying to work on, or something that is trying to open your eyes, realizing, oh, this is something that's triggering me because this is something that I am trying to work on. And not a lot of people are ready to hear that message. I know in the longest time for the relationship that I was in for almost a decade, I wasn't ready to hear that message, you know? And so I kept attracting all these people, and that wasn't very healthy for me. And I kept asking myself, like, why is this happening to me? Why? And it wasn't like, oh, woe is me. It was more like I just wasn't seeing it clearly. And so finally I realized that when it was time for me to move forward and find who I am again, I had to leave certain people behind, and not a lot of people are meant to follow us in this journey, right? And so that's okay, because not everyone is for us. This could also relate to friendships, relationships, family members. So anytime you're feeling like you're having to put a mask on, also could be a sign that you're being in an environment that is draining you, or you're being around people or situations that is no longer aligned. So this could be really triggering, but it is very powerful. In this phase, there could be delays that often protect you or give you time to prepare you to be who you are meant to be. So if you're in a transitional period where you're trying to actually go after your dreams and desires, sometimes the people that are no longer aligned with you will end up slowly falling away or out of your life. And then that leaves space. So this pause and moment in time is actually opening up space for those who are actually aligned with you, which is really beautiful. So a little bit of bittersweet. So this also will, so like you may not see it yet, but your soul's rearranging things behind the scenes. So it may look like a setback, but can often be a time that is sacred, opening up space. That way you can work on inner work, or like wounds that needed healing that you didn't see before. And that's where you are able to plant seeds and help yourself grow into the person you're meant to be, which is really beautiful. So that's the descension process. The law of divine timing showing up in the ascension process, which is the next level. This phase is where you start to become like intuitive and starting to trust your intuition a little bit more, instead of fighting it or second guessing yourself. Maybe there was a moment in time where you had an inner knowing telling yourself, like, something isn't right, I can't put my finger on it or label it, put a word to it, but something in this situation is not right and I don't like it. That is your intuition telling you that you are protecting yourself and trying to get out of the situation. So maybe it could look like you not feeling well, like you feel anxious whenever you see a text message from a friend that may or may not be in the best interest of you, if that makes sense. Maybe it could be a person that you could be dating and they're calling you and you're like, oh no, what do I do? Or you see a post from someone that's just not in alignment with you and you feel anxious. That is such a huge sign that that person's not meant or aligned for you. And a lot of the times there might be a little bit of delay, like, oh, but what if this, what if that, like what if, like we almost like attach to that because we're so comfortable in that comfortable chaos that we end up feeling like we're settling, but then we'll know we're healing because we'll feel anxious in knowing that, like, oh, I no longer align with that. I hope that making sense, because you'll know you're basically aligning, or like you're leveling up to the person who you are meant to be when you get these people in your past trying to come back into your life by messaging you, sending you messages saying I miss you, but really they're just trying to pull you back down and getting you back to old habits, whether it's like addicting habits, old habits that were very addicting. So anyways, you could recognize that what's meant for you cannot be rushed, and that what's not meant for you cannot be forced. So again, things that are not meant for you, you may feel like you're forcing it, and that actually might be a sign that it's not actually meant for you because you're forcing it to happen. Whereas things that are naturally meant for you, people that are supposed to be in your life, it's going to feel like in alignment. It's going to feel natural. You don't have to put a mask on. You don't have to, it feels comfortable, talking to people that just understands you, and there's not a lot of effort. People are just there. They're there with you. There's no judgment. And so my hope is that one day you find people like that who are in the same headspace as you, who can provide a safe space for you to be who you want to be, And so, I don't know, I was guided to talk about that today in today's reading. I hope that helps. Thank you for being here and connecting with me today. Let me know if there are any comments that you would like to share, any video suggestions. I would love to hear them all. Please like and subscribe to let me know if this was your reading. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sending love your way and wishing you a beautiful, beautiful day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!